coming straight from the cockpit. It's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. All right, back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. I am the fucking pilot with a very special guest in the studio with me, somebody I've wanted to talk to for a long time about some seriously groundbreaking stuff in skydiving from day one, kind of. So, well, hell, let's just get started. Who the fuck are you and what do you do?
My name is Omar Alhegelan, and I'm a skydiver.
That's how you pronounce your last name.
Yes, sir, it is.
I'm not going to, I got to tell you, I've been staring at that last name for years trying to figure out how to properly pronounce it, and everyone I've met has a different pronunciation.
Well, depending on where you come from, you can pronounce it differently.
Really?
If you're French, you'll say Alhegelan.
I like that, all right.
If you're English, you'll say Alhegelan. If you're Saudi, you say Alhegelan.
Okay.
So it depends where you're from, and you can call me anything.
Alhegelan, okay. So I was actually kind of close.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of strange. This sport lends to some really unique experiences. One of which is having someone that's the same age as me and someone that started in the sport just a little bit before me, but has been a hero. And I use that word in all seriousness because you and your crew back in the day were absolutely groundbreaking in everything that is now considered normal everyday skydiving. How the hell? I mean, well, first off, let's back way up. How did you get started in any extreme sport?
All right. Well, I've always been extreme by nature. When I was 4 years old, I remember playing around in my house, and we were on the second floor, and I took the curtains, and I would, being a little kid who used to watch Tarzan, I would take the curtains and I would put my feet on the window, and I would push off the window and get back on the window and push off the window until, of course, one day what happened? Smash! I went through that glass window, and I'm hanging outside from the first floor into the void, come back in, and as soon as I swung back in, the curtains broke. Thank God.
Ooh.
I fell inside and not outside.
Ooh.
But basically, I've been extreme in that sense. And I remember I used to hate school when I was a little kid.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't stand it. One time we were going to school and I'm like, dude, I don't like it. I opened the door and I just jumped out. Literally, the car wasn't going that fast, but it was rolling.
Fast enough.
So I think that was my intro to extreme sports.
Your parents must have loved you.
They loved the heck out of me. I drove them crazy.
I bet.
But skydiving, I'll tell you the story of how it started.
Yeah,
I had
please.
always wanted to skydive. It had been something that I'd wanted to do, but somehow it just never happened. The gods weren't willing. It just didn't happen. Every time I tried to look into it or sign up, something else happened, and off I went into a different direction.
Sure.
Until one day I was in D.C. and a friend of mine who's a hairdresser and was cutting my hair. He's like, guess what I'm doing this weekend? I'm like, what? He goes, I'm going to go do an AFF. I'm like, what the fuck's an AFF? He goes, it's an accelerated freefall course in skydiving. I'm like, no, you're not. He goes, what do you mean I'm not? I go, we are.
Awesome.
And the rest was history.
Awesome.
I mean, the bug got me
So,
big time.
Your first jump was an AFF?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, actually, no. I had done a tandem maybe 2 years or 3 years prior to that.
Okay.
And then I did my AFF, and I swear to God, Dean, as soon as I landed from that first jump, although I landed on my butt,
Right.
I stood up, I threw my hands up in the air, and I said, I was born to do this. See, my whole life I'd always been very envious of
Right.
like athletes and musicians and so on. I'm like, people who got to live off their passion.
Sure.
Meanwhile, I had just gone through the steps, graduating from high school, graduating from college,
Right.
going to work and so on, and doing a job that I didn't particularly care so much about. I was an investment banker
Okay.
and a stockbroker, pretty much. And all of a sudden, here I was. I did my first jump, and I'm like, I was born to do this.
A stockbroker.
I finally found it.
You were a stockbroker.
International equity dealer,
Holy
if you want
shit.
the clean word for it, or the
You know,
the
it's
PC.
it's so funny because I've talked to so many people now and asked for backstories and tried to figure out how people got into the sport and the lifestyle and everything because it very much is all encompassing. And I'm always shocked to find out where so many people have come from normal, respectable, professional, careers that have just chucked it all.
Completely.
So stockbroker, I never would have pegged it.
Yeah, from the day that I dumped, man, I just dumped everything, sold everything, and moved from a really nice apartment in D.C. into a trailer in Eloy. My parents were like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?"
Yeah, no doubt. I have no doubt because you were probably meeting all expectations up to that point and then took a left turn.
Yeah, I was doing all the checks. I had checked all the boxes, ticked all the boxes that they wanted me to, and then all of a sudden I said, "I'm out of here."
You know what's funny? I think we were a very lucky generation in that we had the ability to do that. There was enough wanderlust in us left over from our 60s generation parents that it wasn't that hard for us to go, "Oh, fuck this."
Absolutely. And I came, it was this duality between my father, who was a career diplomat, who was extremely strict, and my mother that was extremely open.
Wow.
And so she would mediate everything. But even she looked at me like, "Dude, you're crazy. What the fuck are you doing?" And what made it even worse was that here I was, okay, I came, like I said, from the financial background.
Right.
And I was cocky at the time. Probably still am. And I'm doing my AFF, and I think I'm at either my second or my third jump. And I go to my instructor, and I'm like, "Listen, these jumps are pretty easy. Can we just can we prepare 2 courses at a time, 2 levels?" And he starts laughing. He calls his mate over, and they're laughing at me. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, look, you've got me prepped for jump number 3. Can you also prep me for jump number 4? He goes, "What for?" I'm like, "Well, let's say we go do jump number 3. I do everything. You give me a thumbs up. Then I do everything on jump number 4. What do you think?" And that's how I did my AFF in 5 jumps instead of 8 jumps.
Awesome.
And then what really made everyone nuts was that here I had probably 10 jumps, and I was at the drop zone, St. Mary County drop zone. It was owned by Kevin Gibson at the time. I don't know if you know Kevin Gibson. He was part of the USPA Parachutist magazine, I believe, at the time. He was a writer for them. Really nice guy. Awesome guy, really, to be honest with you. And I started watching videos. So I'm like, what competitions are there? What is there to do? And I started watching, accuracy competitions and 4-way, 8-way. And then I fell on freestyle. And I looked at that and I'm like, dude, that's it. I'm going to be a world champion freestylist. And everybody's laughing at me because I'm telling everybody, "Dude, you don't understand. I'm going to be a world champion at freestyle." They're like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Why don't you just get your A license first and then we'll talk?"
Right.
And same with my parents, my family and friends. I was telling everybody, "Guys, I figured it out. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a world champion skydiver in freestyle." They're like, "What are you talking about?
You're going to be a what?"
They're like, "Enough of that, dude."
Right. Yep.
And you know what? After 11 months of my AFF, I did the first competition. It was at the time, it was not the Pro Tour, but it was, what was it called? It was a world championship, but it wasn't part of the FAI at the time. It was run by Pete McKeeman.
Okay.
And I took second place.
In 11 months.
In 11 months. We missed the gold medal by 1 point. Marco Mana and Bruno Broken beat us by 1 point. He was the returning champion. And it was, to me, it was just incredible.
Oh, yeah. Well,
actually,
the first time that you and I ever actually really met was in 98 during the U.S. Nationals in Elsinore.
Right.
And you were competing in freestyle. But I was new in the sport. I think I was just under 2 years in the sport at the time. And just kind of getting my feet under me, so to speak, and was competing in sky surfing. And you had always been, along with all the rest of the crew, free flyer. Exactly. That was all I knew you as. You were the one in doing the splits, shirtless and carving all over the place, and these beautiful head down carves and these amazing photographs in very iconic gear at the time. So when I saw you on the plane doing freestyle, like, what the hell is Omar doing freestyle for? Because in my mind, freestyle was a bit of an antiquated part of skydiving in that it still got lumped in with freestyle accuracy, all the classic stuff.
Right.
And then I saw a video of your round, and I went, "Oh, I get it." Because you were mixing freestyle and free flying.
Well, that's how it really evolved.
Right.
If you want to really peel the layers of the onion and see exactly when our modern day free flying really started, it was in the summer of 1994. Olaf Zipser and I had created a team.
Yep.
And we were training for the World Championships. And he brought in his ex-teammate, his ex-video man, Mike Vale.
Yep.
And so the three of us kept doing 12, 15, one day up to 22 jumps a day in trying to push the limits of freestyle and 3-person team, what became free flying.
Right.
Olaf was mainly concentrating on learning the head down position, and not learning, but I would say mastering the head down position. I was working on mastering the head-up position, the stand-up position, and Mike Vale was just trying to figure out how to film this whole thing, this whole craziness of these two guys trying to each come up with their own thing.
Right.
And that's when all the moves came, the foot-to-foot, the mind warp, the compressed, all these moves that today people just take for granted were invented as we sat down and we were debriefing and we're trying to figure out, hey, what should we try on the next jump? What should we try? Well, how can we do this? How can we do that? And that was the birth of today's free fall.
Oh yeah, I mean when I got into it, I started jumping in '96. So by then Chronicles was out, and I spent more than a few nights in my buddy's trailer, crashed in Paris Valley, stoned off my ass, watching copies of VHS tapes of Chronicles 1, and trying to figure out what the fuck are these guys doing? And you had this beautiful head down carve, hands on hips, and just all this flawless stuff. And it was again you and Zipser and Vale and
Charles Bryan and Teti Mantenengo. I mean, it was a big group.
Oh yeah, well, and it's funny because that's the who's who of my entire skydiving generation. Is this is who you looked up to. I always wanted to ask you, is it weird to have guys that are basically the same age as you with this hero worship? Because it happens. It's got to happen a fair amount. I mean, we're in a weird time now in skydiving where there's a younger generation that probably doesn't know who the hell you are.
They have no clue.
But then there's a bunch of guys like me that are like, don't you know who that is? I did that recently with you. You were on the drop zone, and one of the younger kids that's only been in the sport for a year or two didn't know who you were. And I'm like, that's Omar. Who's Omar? I'm like, the Omar.
And they're like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but you got guys like me.
Yeah, but you have to understand that I don't look at it that way. I mean, as much as, it's nice for the ego, but I try not to feed the ego because I believe that it's just such a group effort, and I believe that everybody has it in them. I was just at the right place at the right time. And that's why I'm fortunate.
Sure.
Yes, there was a lot of hard work. Yes, there was a lot of reasons why I became where I got to the level that I got to. But I honestly put it more on other people. I put it more on being in the right place at the right time with the right people, with the right philosophy, and with the right attitude.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. But, it was great because at the time in Eloy, as we were creating and developing all this, we'd have all the guys from California come. So Eli and Fritz and Mike Ortiz, Rob Harris, Joe Jennings, they would all come to Eloy. And we'd start working together, and we'd feed off of each other. And everybody was trying to figure out what everyone else was doing.
Right.
And trying to learn. At the same time, I remember meeting Alaska John for the first time. I mean, he was greener than green at the time. He had just started. He bought my very first rig, actually.
Really?
I had my first rig that I ever bought was a Vector, and I ended up selling it to Alaska John, who now, as everybody knows, is one of the heroes of the Red Bull Air Force.
Yeah.
The leader and the hero.
It's so wild because I think back and again, I was lucky enough to start in a time when everything was really popping off, and it wasn't brand new. It was really already pretty developed. In '96, you guys were already nailing stuff down pretty good. But I'd watch those Chronicles videos and think, all right, a lot of this stuff, the ground footage, I always thought was hilarious because I'm like, well, I love the hype that they've put in it, but some of it's got to be hype. But then I got deep into skydiving and went, nah, it must have been that wild.
It was a crazy time.
It had to be.
And that was part of the beauty of it all. It was the Wild West.
Yeah.
You have to understand, our group, at least I know for a fact myself, I went to Eloy because I just wanted to dump the quote-unquote the real world.
Sure.
I didn't want to have anything to do with the real world.
Sure.
I didn't want to have anything to do with the laws and rules that apply to the normal world.
Right.
I wanted to be out there. I want to be in a place, in a state of mind that will help you create what you are going to create, to be the person that you want to be free.
Sure.
And that's why it's called free flying, because it's all about that free spirit.
Absolutely. Well, it's it was funny because your guys' personalities would come through quite well in these videos, and if you're not a skydiver, it's difficult to see how watching someone jump out of an airplane can show off their personality. But Olav always came off as very calculated and very detailed, and you always came off as very zen. And I mean, granted, pictures of you in the lotus position will definitely paint that picture, but you always came off that way. But is that how you entered it? Because I mean, you say you started out right from the get-go going, I'm doing this, guys, which it's a fair amount of ego, maybe not ego, just a shitload of confidence.
And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I was super confident. And that had to do with my whole spiritual metaphysical side. For many years before I got into skydiving, I started learning and studying metaphysics and spirituality and doing a lot of internal work. And I knew the concepts of meditation and visual meditation, guided meditation, and having the whole fact of perception, projection, reality. I understood that early on. And that's what helped me guide into the focus, into the vision that I had in a very Zen way.
So coming from this financial background and out of college and everything, you start doing the metaphysical studies and looking a little bit more inward. Do you think that was a big part of what aimed you towards something like skydiving?
It's very possible. I knew that I wanted to get out of Dodge and go live a free life.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's exactly what I did.
Well, and I'm sure you more than most will know that, have the same opinion. For me, skydive is a 60-second meditation.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very much living in the moment, which most people don't ever get to experience.
That's what I always tell everybody. It's like, live in the now. How do you live in the now? Go to a skydive. You'll understand.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that goes through your mind in those 60 seconds in that free fall time other than what you're doing.
Right, which is absolutely incredible because most people, like me, most modern people, their brains never shut off. And I'm still victim to that to this day, even at my age. When I'm on the ground, my brain doesn't switch off. But as soon as I jump out of an airplane, there's only one thing going on in the world. I'm skydiving. That's it, which is amazing. So that must have been pretty... I hate to use the word enlightening for you, especially having been studying all this stuff yourself already to make that jump and realize, oh, wow.
And that's why I landed, threw my hands up in the air and said, this is what I was born to do. I understood. And to this day, I tell everybody the same thing. I wish I could live up there and spend the time that I do on the ground up there
Right.
and reverse it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am so much happier. I'm so much better. I'm a better person. I'm a better soul. I'm a better everything up there than I am down here. And in religious terms, it's the closest I've ever been to God.
Sure.
And then that's what it's all about.
It's rough, isn't it? Because you get into the skydiving world and when you're just out fun jumping and having fun with your friends and making these jumps, life seems pretty simple.
Yep.
And you paint a mental picture of yourself in one regard, and then you get out in the real world and road rage kicks in and bills that you didn't expect and all this crap, and you just start beating yourself up so bad. It's very difficult to balance both.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And you learn from one and carry on to the other.
Sure.
To the next. Because I'll explain to you what I mean. It's all about perception. If you can understand that you have the choice to choose what perception to an event you take. For instance, you just mentioned road rage. Okay, let's say someone cuts you off. Man, you're pissed off. And the guy gives you the finger to boot. Now you just want to chase him down. You feel like just hitting his bumper with your bumper and, going after him.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way to you. Let's change the perception. Instead of being mad at the guy because he just cut you off and having that vision, that perception that the guy's an asshole, why don't you visualize this? The guy just got a phone call and his kid's in the hospital.
Sure.
So now you've changed the perception. Now you don't know which one's real.
Sure.
But you internally have changed the perception. And now all of a sudden, you know what? You have no more anger towards that person.
Sure.
Because now you feel empathy for him. So we can do that in every stage of our lives.
Sure.
It's always up to us to change the perception to live the life we want rather than to fall prey to all the steps that we usually do and the old perceptions that we used to have.
Sure. Well, and skydiving definitely has done a lot in regard to trying to push that to some degree. I've found it's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because I found I can be so happy in one respect that way and then so pissed off in another. It's just this constant battle of how come it can't just be like skydiving, right? How come it can't just be like
Let
jumping?
me just make it that way.
Yeah, come on. It's and I think that's probably a lot of what draws people to skydiving. I think that's also what draws people to the extreme lifestyle on the ground as well. I mean, you came up in a time when it really was the Wild West, and skydiving from 95 up through 2005, 2006 was, if you were a full-time skydiver on a big drop zone, you were jumping your ass off, you were partying your ass off. It was sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Absolutely, 100%.
And it was wonderful.
It was incredible.
It was absolutely incredible, but it didn't exactly lend to the whole real world stuff for a lot of people.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And that's why it was a sort of escapism.
Yeah. Which was wonderful, but it was kind of our own version of the 60s in that eventually it was going to end. luckily for guys like you and guys like me, I was able to transition into full-time skydiving and flying throughout the entire thing. But there's a lot of guys that,
They couldn't.
Yeah.
And that was rough for them. We're very blessed.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
I count my blessings every day, man.
Well, and you've been able to, I mean, you went on to, let's get the accolades out of the way. Competitions and medals and stuff. You guys.
Basically, with Olaf and Charles, we won the first 4 steps of the Pro Tour. So there were 4 legs throughout the U.S. and Europe, and we won all 4 and became the SSI Pro Tours champions, which was on ESPN at the time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so that was the accolade in terms of free flying. Then after that, in freestyle, I had the World Cup, the World Championships, the World Games, and the World Air Games. The one that I'm the most proud of would be the World Games, and I'll explain why. Because the World Games are all the sports that are recognized by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, but aren't included in the Olympics.
Right.
And so it was the closest that I could ever get to winning an Olympic medal.
Sure.
And so having won a gold medal there for me was, okay, I've gone to the top. I can't get anything bigger or better than that.
Sure.
And those are all then in free flying with Steve Curtis and Tim Strauss. We ended up winning the European Championships in free flying. We also won the U.S. Nationals. So we did pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say.
And I didn't mention his name. You know, my hats off, and my soul always is with Orly King, who left us a few years ago.
Yep.
And with him, he and I were able to win all those medals in freestyle.
Sure.
You know, he was my hero. He was my video man. He was my companion. He was my partner. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near what I did. Because it's very important. People need to understand. They think that the performer is a world champion. No, it's a team event.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have a great cameraman, guess what? You're not going to be a world champion.
Sure.
It's a 2-man event, and both are equally responsible for those accolades and for that.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Orly and the rock stars of the day, especially coming up through a time when so much experimenting was going on between, the freestyle turning into free flying and sky surfing going through the roof and all that. Yep. You, just like I, have watched and lost way too many people over the years.
Too many friends.
But yeah, way too many. But you, because of the circles that you were running in, were with the guys on the cutting edge. I mean, they were the ones pushing the limits for everything. At what point did you, and I've talked about it with other people before, every skydiver I think has I like to call it a come to Jesus moment. Am I a skydiver? Can I keep doing this? And it's usually a fatality of a friend or something like that. Did you have one of those moments where you had to sit down and decide, can I keep doing this? Or was it always just this is who I am, I'll deal with it?
No, I never really looked at it in those terms. For me, it was, I do what I do and I keep on doing it. You know, my heart's bled many times. Many tears have been shed, but it was tears for them, you know?
Sure. Yeah. No, and I think I was the same way as well, but there was never any question as to the answer. Can I keep being a skydiver? I just was.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was just a skydiver. I think, where it came mostly was my family and friends. They'd hear me complaining and crying about so-and-so dying and so-and-so passing away and so-and-so. And they'd look like, well, isn't it time you stopped? Haven't you had enough jumps?
Yep.
Didn't you get enough medals? And I'm like, no, this is who I am. This is what I do.
That's the toughest part, right?
Dude, I hope that I'll be freaking 95 years old and still jumping.
Yeah.
If I'm alive in those days.
Look at Lou Sanborn. Come on, look at Lou.
Yeah. That's what I hope and pray for.
For sure. Now, how did stepping back a bit? How did the clowns come up? What was the idea behind that?
Free Fly Clowns was Olaf's idea. His first team with Mike Vale, when he was actually originally world champion in freestyle, because not many people know that he was a freestyle world champion when I met him, and that summer, actually, an interesting story. Let's back up a little bit.
Please.
So this Kevin Gibson in Maryland, who was a DZO and took really good care of me at the time in my progression, comes up to me when I had like less than 250 jumps. And he goes, Omar, and he had taken my logbook and he opens it up and shows me the back page. He goes, listen, we've taught you everything we can teach you. It's time for you to spread your wings and fly. And he basically sent me to DeLand, Florida to meet up with Tamara Coyne.
Okay.
And so I went over there, started jumping. And then, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't to the land. He sent me over to, hold on, what was it? No, it was the land.
Okay, cool.
And that's where I ran into her. And I started jumping with her, but we weren't really in the same frame of minds. We were totally different in terms. So I learned quite a bit from her. But then I got the opportunity to run into Olaf. And Olaf had just won his world championships. And he was interested in forming a team to be the best cameraman. His video flyer, Mike Vale, had gotten the accolade of best video man. And Olaf, who had already gotten world champion, now wanted the best video man. So he was actually looking for someone to partner up with.
Wow.
At the time, I was doing some jumps, and Orly King was jumping with me. And he showed Olaf some of our footage. And Olaf was intrigued. We ended up meeting, and we decided to form a team. Since I was interested in learning freestyle, I would hire him as a coach, and he wanted to be the best video man. He would film me. It was a perfect marriage.
Sure.
So we decided to go. This was in, it was end of 93.
Okay.
And so in 94, we decided to go and meet up in April in Paris Valley. So he takes his RV, he drives up to Paris Valley. I take my flight from DC, I go to Paris, and here we go. Day 1, rain. Day 2, rain. Day 3, rain. Day 4, we're like, what the hell are we doing here? Everybody told us it was going to be beautiful. We're going to jump. Why are we here? So we pick up the phone, and people, the Manifest girl to this day tells a story like, these maniacs are calling me. Why? Because we end up calling Eloy. We're like, hey, what's the weather like? They're like, beautiful. You guys jumping? Yep. Can we make 1,000 jumps next year? She's like, yeah, sure. And she hangs up. So we're like, listen, let's go to Arizona.
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up living in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
We were supposed to live in Paris. We were supposed to train in Paris, and we ended up in Skydive Arizona in Eloy.
How funny.
Because of that.
Well, now, so at the time, Eloy was a kind of just a medium-sized drop zone at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were just starting. And this was exactly the same time that Dan BC decided to start airspeed.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same time that Olaf and I showed up in Eloy. It was the same time that Dan BC and John Lemming and Kurt Werner and Mark Kirkby and who am I missing?
Gerard was out there, yeah?
No, Gerard came after.
Okay.
Johnny. It'll come to mind. Anyway, the original airspeed members, they all started training at the same time that we ended up, and we were in the same hangar. So, and the east side of the hangar was airspeed, and then the west side of the hangar were the Free Fly Clowns. And that's what we're going back to the original question.
Yeah.
How did we come up with the name of the Free Fly Clowns? Olaf was already doing that. He had his freestyle team with Mike Vale was the Free Fly Clowns.
Okay.
And then when we formed together as a freestyle team, we kept the same name, the Free Fly Clowns.
Sure.
And we kept going that way. And then again, when we made the Free Fly team, it kept the same name, the Free Fly Clowns.
Well, and it, obviously became infamous, more likely in skydiving for sure. It's funny because I've talked to Craig Gerard and Dan BC, and all of them talk about the golden era of Skydive Arizona.
Sorry, John Eagle.
There you go. You knew it would come.
Yeah.
It had to just have been the most incredible time. But did you know when it was going on? This is going to be something.
We knew we were scratching the surface of something pretty amazing. And I'll tell you one of the most disappointing and happiest moments of my life in terms of skydiving. I remember one time, Charles Bryan, Olaf, and myself were walking to board we were going from the hangar to board the plane. And there was a group of RW guys, the guys in their, middle-aged guys, like to talk, like to throw some shit here and there. And I hear one leaning over and whispering to the other guy, obviously loud enough so I could hear it. He goes, those guys are just a fad. They're just going to burn out just like SkySurf did. You just wait and see.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? Guess what, motherfucker?
Yeah.
One day, every single skydiver that finishes AFF is going to go straight to free flying and not to RW.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? My wish, my dream came true.
Oh, yeah.
Because nowadays, that's what happens.
Oh, yeah. I think half of the jumpers only spend time on their belly when it's pull time.
Yep.
You know,
They have to.
Not that long ago, we watched a staff jump trying to build a larger formation, and some of them were fantastic, and others were really struggling to fly a formation on their bellies because they just don't spend any time on their bellies.
They just never do it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it actually comes back to the '98 Nationals. Maybe or maybe you won't remember this because you and I were on the same airplane. It was Mary Tortomasi and I were skysurf.
Right.
It was Tanya and Craig.
Yep.
You were freestyle, and then I think it was Arizona on the plane, all in one load. And I think we were 2 or 3 rounds in. Arizona's in the back doing their, dirt dive, eyes closed, gloves on, doing all this stuff.
Head bobbing right, left, and center.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tanya, and I quote it, but I'm just paraphrasing, said something along the lines of, "Hey, airspeed, don't fuck it up." To which we all laugh, and they were horrified. And it really highlighted, especially at the young age I was in skydiving, the difference between the mentality of that 8-way team and freestyle and free fly and stuff. And as I was coming up, free flying was a dirtbag sport. It was along the lines of the climbers that would go live in the valley in Yosemite and
Exactly.
eat off scraps and shit.
Basically.
The dirtier your jumpsuit, the more fucked up your rig, chances are the better flyer you were because you were just beating the shit out of it. And that's kind of when you guys started, but you guys put a lot of style into it as soon as Chronicles came out.
Yeah.
And the style that you guys put out there became prevalent in skydiving almost overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Chronicles came out, everybody was wearing at the time, the baggy free fly suits and delivering pizzas all over the place.
That's it. That's all we knew,
Yeah.
You do the best with the information you have.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what we knew at the time. At the time, this is what was working. And so we were delivering pizzas everywhere. And
Absolutely.
we did have the balloon suits. Because you know what? We needed that crutch at the
Oh,
time.
yeah. It worked.
In the same way that people used to use balloon suits, and now look at them doing RW with very tight suits.
Absolutely.
It's just that progression, that education that has to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, it couldn't have been a quick progression because you're in the time well before wind tunnels.
Way before.
You know-
It took us thousands of jumps to
Yeah.
come up with stuff that you can learn in a week in a tunnel
Yeah,
today.
one jump at a time. You're just 45 seconds of free flying
Yeah.
at a time to learn skills that people can go knock out in a couple of tunnel sessions.
Think about it. On a great day, if you can make 12 jumps, you got 12 minutes of training.
Yeah, on a great day.
Give me a break. I mean, compare that to what you can do in a tunnel today. You can get half an hour. Boo. There you go.
It's
That's
insane.
30 jumps right there.
It's insane. I interviewed Olav a while back, and he believes that the tunnel will inevitably forever change skydiving, and not necessarily in a good way. I don't know that I agree with the negativity in that respect, because I think skydiving will always be a huge draw because there's no replacement for stepping out of the plane and seeing that view. But as far as skill level goes, if you don't have the money to pay for tunnel time, you will never be as good as the little kid rock stars.
Oh, absolutely.
It's insane.
Absolutely. And for that, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like the tunnel. I don't enjoy flying in the tunnel. My pleasure is derived from being out there in the open, being in the now.
Sure.
Because you can't really be in the now in the tunnel. I mean,
No.
you can, but it's not the same. Nowhere near.
Not when somebody that's a dramatically
You
better
know?
flyer than you is right outside the glass
Looking
watching
at
everything
you.
you're doing. Yeah, no.
But when you're in the air, it's just you and nature.
Yeah.
It's you in this void. It's you in this controlled suicide up until you pull, your pin.
Yep, absolutely. Well, the tunnel, I think, opens doors for much younger flyers, which is
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yep.
I interviewed the Kennett family a while back, and their daughter is an amazing tunnel flyer. I think she actually just won gold medal in the Air Games, I think.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
But
wonderful.
it's incredible watching a 12, 13, 14-year-old with skills so far above what I can do. And so far above what, you guys had pioneered. It's got to be cool for you to see shit that you guys came up with being pulled off by little kids in a big
Absolutely.
windy tube.
Dude, absolutely.
Right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it doesn't stop at that. I mean, I'll tell you. I met Fred and Vince. You know who Fred and Vince are. The Soul Flyers.
Soul Flyers and Rocket, or Jetman.
Jetman, exactly. Well, I met them when they were Packers in Vichy.
Yeah.
We were at a boogie, and they were 15 and 16 years old. Wow. And that's when Fred ended up coming over to Eloy to be a Packer for my school.
Oh, wow.
And so there's nothing in this world that makes me more proud than to see what these guys, they're living legends.
Sure.
They're incredible. And seeing that progression and seeing how those guys have evolved, dude, it makes my heart so happy. So yeah, absolutely. Watching these little kids doing what they're doing in the tunnel today, all it does is bring joy to me.
Which is another really amazing part of skydiving, because although there's competition in skydiving and you want to win the nationals, you want to win the worlds, you want to do this and that, at the end of the day, people are just stoked to see a skydiver pulling off something badass.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
That's where I learned how to get rid of ego to some degree, because I learned a long time ago in this sport, I will never be the best at anything in this sport. And I'm okay with that, because I love my position in the sport and I love seeing what other people can do. I aim towards base jumping with a lot of that. They're doing shit in base jumping that just is mind-blowing. It absolutely floors me, and I will never base jump. I never have, I never will, but I am so amazingly attracted to what they can do. Yeah. It's insane. So you get to really just love what everybody else is doing in the sport, which is incredible.
But talking about base jumping, what they're doing, that proximity flying, it's that double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. It's so beautiful. But then you look at the list of top dogs, dead.
Oh, yeah.
Dead. And you're like, okay, how? Why?
Yeah.
These are guys at the top. We're not talking about the yahoos that are trying to get their 15 seconds of fame on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're talking about guys that have been doing this all their lives. And this is where sometimes I draw the comparison to the mid-90s when we're having a lot of fatalities because of swooping.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people used to do hook turns, and then hook turns got how should I say, not canceled, but were seen in a bad way. And basically we understood that wasn't the way to fly your canopy, by stalling one side, but rather accelerating your canopy into the turn and then always having full flare and the full power of your brakes. I think to a certain extent, the manufacturers are somewhat, I wouldn't say responsible, but I think that they could help in taming down the fatalities by maybe trying to see and trying to explain the equipment. And so instead of coming up with a new wingsuit every 6 months, or even less, I think in some cases, maybe do a little bit like what PD and other canopy manufacturers did, which was try to help educate, try to explain, try to only, put limits of how many jumps you should have before you could give educational courses and help explain, because we did have that problem with canopy flying.
Oh, yeah.
With the high performance canopies. And I think to a certain extent, we pretty much eradicated that. Sure, it's still
through education,
through education. And I think the same thing is eventually going to happen with wingsuits.
I think so too. I think the progression, and again, I count my lucky stars that I came up when I did, because I started skydiving when everybody was frapping in, on Spinettos, of course. Stiletto was the new insanely fast canopy at the time, where in a genius marketing move, you had to have a certain number of jumps before you could even buy one. Right. Amazing marketing, because of course now everybody wants to have one of these, and the gray market, I'll call it, for as secondhand stilettos was huge. So you had guys all over the place that were getting a hold of canopies way before they should have been on them, and so many people were frapping in that when I started, I shied away from high performance canopies for 1,000 jumps. I only started to downsize and get a higher performance canopy because I was shooting tandem videos and I was having to struggle to beat the tandems down. So I took a very, very slow progression in that. And then finally, after probably 4 or 5 years at least of the fatality rates being through the roof because of canopies, you started to see canopy courses popping up.
Exactly.
And it was guys like Brian Germain.
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, who I just talked to recently, he in his own right is the godfather of canopy courses.
100%.
He was the man you talked to. And then I was lucky to be out in Cross Keys in 03, 04, 05 when Heath Richardson, who at the time was PD's Wonder Boy, and you'd get to take little snippets and lessons from guys like him. But now with the flight courses and all this stuff, it's almost standard procedure that you go through a canopy course, which is amazing. So hopefully the wingsuit evolution starts to go that direction as well.
And a shout out to Brian Germain, because I want to, not only did he do, and he is helping with his canopy courses and so on, but you have to understand that he was at the beginning of free flying as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guy is a badass, has always been and will always be. Hey, Brian.
Oh yeah, I've got a funny story about Brian Germain. I was flying for a drop zone in California, and I knew the name Brian Germain, but this was, I mean, social media was there, but I wasn't big into it, and there weren't a lot of people that were huge in it like they are now, so I did not know his face.
Okay.
And I'm flying for a drop zone on the road, and he walks up and tells me, "Hey, we're going to need this, 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 and this for flying." And me, being the pilot with a bit of a pilot ego, was like, "Who the fuck are you?
Tell me what to
Yeah,
do.
don't tell me what to do. You come up and ask me what to do." And I was pretty blunt about it. And he just kind of, in his very germane way, was pretty polite. And, "Oh, okay, sorry about that." And goes and tells me what he wants and walks away. And somebody's like, "Dude, you know who that is?" I'm like, "No, I don't know." He says, "That's Brian Germain." And I'm like, "Oh, I just told Brian Germain to fuck off."
Brian, we love you.
Yeah.
Just want you to know that.
Oops. Well, cut to, I think it was the next year, I ended up having to spend the night in a hotel room with him because we were both subcontracting for the same drop zone. So I
There
think
you go.
we mended fences to some degree. Or he didn't remember I told him to fuck off, in which case now he's like, "God damn that son of a bitch." One of the two.
Listen, knowing him, he forgot about it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
He's got nothing but love in his heart.
He's such a Zen guy anyway. I mean,
Absolutely.
you and he are actually a lot alike in that you're really diving inside to try and figure a lot of this stuff out, and which is awesome.
Exactly.
All of this has led you to some really unique opportunities and businesses, because people ask, and I'm sure you've been asked just like I have a million times, how do you skydive for a living?
Yeah.
People pay you to use gravity? What is this?
Yeah,
So,
can you believe it?
but you found amazing ways, not just unique in general, jobs, but unique in skydiving. Why don't you tell me a little bit?
Well, I've been very fortunate in that throughout my career, one thing led to another, which led to another.
Mm.
So, having reached the level of becoming world champion and FAI world champion, led me to set up a school in Eloy. Set up a school in Eloy meant free jumps, meant a guaranteed number of jumps for the various teams that I had, and the opportunity of making money by coaching people and having a staff to do that as well. That in turn led to being invited to Dubai and going over there to jump. And then since then, I've done, sometimes you have to wheel and deal. You have to figure out how to do things.
Sure.
Sometimes we go in the sponsorship route. I'll give you a perfect example. I had this dream of mine to jump in Antarctica. I'd always wanted to jump there. I had already jumped in the North Pole. And
Okay.
that was really cool. I got to do that. But now I wanted to jump in Antarctica. So after about 2 years of talking to people and trying to figure out how to set it up, I had finally found a way to do it. But the price tag was astronomical. And so I tried to go the sponsorship way. And I looked for sponsors, and they're like, yes. They drug me along for a whole year. And then at the last second, they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do it next year. So then, okay, so I lose another year, but I'm
Right.
still hopeful for the next year. And then they're like, okay, let's do it again. And we build up towards the next year. And then they're like, no, we can't. Oh, I've lost another year. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to have to reprogram, change the perception again.
Right.
So I changed the perception. And I'm like, okay, how can I do this? All right, maybe I'm not going to get paid for doing it, but at least I'll find a way to pay for it.
Sure.
And so what I did was I found clients.
Mm.
I found enough clients who were interested in doing it so that once I took these clients over there, my slot would be for free.
Sure.
And that's what I ended up doing. And I had the most incredible time going to Antarctica. First, getting to Antarctica in and of itself
Sure.
is an incredible thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, being able to do 3 jumps, it was just amazing.
Oh, it had to be.
Just beyond incredible. Nothing but white everywhere, peaks, to the right and to the left. And
Right.
then you have this incredible vistas and jump. I mean, I could deal without the minus 50
Sure.
degrees, but other than that, it was freaking
minus 50.
amazing. That's one thing. Another thing I was very blessed was I was invited the very first year of the Everest Skydive, which was in 2008.
Yep.
And so having been part of that team in 2008, I had to skip the next 3-4 years because I went to Dubai to help establish Skydive Dubai.
Sure.
But then after that, I started again in 2013. And every year since, I've been jumping over there with an incredible team of jumpers from, Tom Noonan, Wendy Smith, Doc Ryan Jackson, just an incredible team. We have the owner of Explore Himalayas, Suman Pane, who is incredible. And basically, we've been having a blast. I mean, you know what it's like. You've gone trekking over there, so you can imagine. You know what it's like.
Oh yeah.
For our viewers or our listeners, I should say, who haven't been there. The thing about Everest Skydive is that the first 4 days before you even get to skydive, you get to go through the most incredible trek through the Himalayan, through the Khumbu Valley.
Oh yeah.
And that in and of itself is priceless.
Oh yeah.
And so when you add to that the possibility of doing a halo jump where you take off at 12,500 feet and land at 12,500 feet, it's just insane.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that I get to go do it every single year.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. I mean, you can tell us a little bit about your experience because you just came back. We saw you on the mountain.
No, it was incredible. That was actually one of the really cool highlights of that entire experience for me, was being able to come back down out of the mountains exactly at the time you guys were coming up into Namche Bazaar to do the jumps. And it was really, really cool to be able to see the operation that I had talked to Tom Noonan about. I interviewed him quite a while back, and the trek to Everest had been on my list for 23 years, to be able to go up there and see that, and to be able to link that with the life that allowed me to be able to do that in the first place was ridiculous. It was super, super cool. And especially for you, the Himalayas and that experience have got to really link into the spiritual side of things for you, because it's that whole place just reeks of spiritualism. It really does.
It oozes of spiritualism.
And I'm not the most namaste kind of guy. I'm a little bit too high strung for namaste on a daily basis. But after the first few days of being a little weirded out by that much, I fell right into that rhythm, and just this sweet, casual, not fake smile. Everybody sees fake smiles every single day. The cash register that just doesn't want to deal with you but smiles because they have to. The banker that smiles because they have to. All that shit, we're programmed to see these fake smiles and react in a fake way. True. And then you get to some place like Nepal where people are genuinely smiling.
Isn't it beautiful?
I think the first 2 or 3 days, my mentality was still very Western. It was, what the fuck does this guy want?
Apprehensive.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't trust anybody that's just smiling at me. He wants something. He's going to try and sell something to me. Nope. And then by about day 4, I'm like, they're just genuinely nice.
They're genuinely happy.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah.
They're nice because they're happy. It doesn't matter what they have, or I should say what they don't have.
Right.
But they're happy inside. Their soul is happy. And that just transgresses through them and into their whole physicality.
Oh, yeah.
And that beautiful smile that they have is just unreal.
Oh, it's amazing. And they're very, very giving, very open people, which is fantastic.
And I'll tell you, for me, the most humbling experience about being in the mountains, it's finding yourself at 13,000 feet. I mean, I've gone as high as 20,000 feet.
Yep.
And having a neck ache from looking up at all these peaks.
Yes.
I mean, here we are at the altitude. It usually takes us about 15 minutes on an aircraft to get. And here I am with a sore neck from looking up at peaks. It's so humbling.
Yeah, it's like being in a fishbowl, and you're at the bottom of the bowl no matter how high you go. It's ridiculous. That was my very first thought when I caught my breath finally making it to base camp, was looking up at the peak of Everest and thinking, this is where it starts?
Exactly.
Are you kidding? This is the beginning. It took me 9 days and everything I had to get here. And I mean, it's just such an incredible experience, the whole thing. And I mean, obviously the jump is amazing and the view is amazing. Sure. But for me, being able to see it as well as do all that stuff. Now, you said you were up at 20,000 feet. Where'd you go?
I went to Imjatse, which is Island Peak.
Island Peak. That's actually my potential goal for vacation this year.
Dude,
I want to see if I can break the 20,000 foot mark.
It's amazing. Go do it.
It's got to be.
It's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. When I try and explain to people, they're like, you got bit by the bug. You want to go climb all that stuff. And I'm like, Island Peak, from what I've been told, is kind of the bunny slope of the Himalayas. It's not that, I mean, it's very much just a trudge. Yep. But I can't imagine trying to do anything bigger than that.
No, I couldn't. I wouldn't want to.
I never got bit by that bug.
No, me neither. But you know what? It was my 50th birthday. And that was my gift to myself.
That was mine too.
Yep.
That was, I turned 50 this year and I'm like, nope, I'm going to do this. I'm finally going to hit this goal. And I thoroughly enjoyed the suffering of it. It was very cleansing, to use an apt word. To every single day is just beautifully painful.
And it just gets worse. And the funniest part is that when you go and people tell you the schedule, they're like, okay, on day 1, you're going to climb to this altitude. And the second day, you're going to get a rest day. Well, they don't tell you that the rest day means that you have to climb even higher and then come back down to rest. I'm like, what are you talking about? How is that? How do you imagine that that's a rest day?
Yep.
And whose imagination does that, and whose vocabulary is that a rest
day?
day?
I know it. Yeah, it was, I actually took an entire month specifically so that I could say, oh, no, I need an actual rest day as well as the rest day.
Right.
Their acclimatizing day is not restful.
Not at all.
You know, I went all the way up to, when I was in Namche was the first day, and I hiked all the way up to the Hillary Overlook. So way up to the top, and wow, I bit off a lot more than I thought I could chew at the time, and was sitting up there going, fuck me, I've got to go all the way back down there. And then sleep in Namche. And I actually stayed an extra night just for that, because I also made the mistake of deciding that I could stuff my pack with everything I thought I might need and then not have a porter.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
God bless you for doing that, man. You're a better man than I.
I left a lot of my shit, and this is, again, where the friendliness of the Nepalese people is huge, because you can leave all the stupid shit you didn't actually need at your hotel when you go up. Yeah. So I left like half my pack there to go up from there, because it was just too much. Too much. So Skydive Everest has done quite well. The clients that I saw that you guys had this year were hilarious. Right. Super amped up. And imagine, for everybody listening, you know skydiving, you know tandem students, but imagine a tandem student on the most expensive tandem skydive on the planet at this ridiculous elevation, and then add oxygen and all this technical stuff in a really intense environment. So imagine you've got that nervous student, but in those environments. And I watched, what was the name of the tandem instructor this year?
It was...
I can't recall his name. Russian.
Yeah, the Russian guy. I'll think of it in a minute.
Awesome. He was hilarious as well, but watching him deal with a clearly borderline panicking student, especially because his girl had gone.
Before him. Exactly.
So it's girl power. The girl jumped. I have to go. There's no choice, especially for that price tag. And watching him have to work through that whole situation and then land, not just with the normal tandem buzz that people get, but that. Holy shit. He was hilarious.
And doing a stellar job at that, I might add.
Yeah.
That was his first time on the mountain.
Yeah.
Doing that, and he did great.
He was lit on fire. And I will admit, I had preconceived notions about someone that can afford that tandem and be helicoptered in and all that stuff, and helicoptered up to base camp. And again, that's a little bit of that ego climbing. And I'm like, who the fuck do these people think they are? They didn't make it to base camp. They flew up there. And then I met him, and he was absolutely charming.
Wasn't he awesome?
Super nice folks. Self-made money. And so it was kind of a slap in the face to me to stop the whole preconceived judging shit, because he was not what I expected when I actually got to talk to him.
Shouldn't judge a book by its cover.
No.
And you know, it's moments like this that really put it right in front of you, in front of your face, and make you realize, you know what? God bless him.
Oh yeah,
God
absolutely.
bless him for everything that he's done for himself, and now he's getting to share it with for himself and for his wife. I mean, it's great. It's
absolutely
amazing.
Well, and they were. It was funny because they finished the jump after being absolutely terrified, and almost the first words out of both of their mouths was that they wanted to join you and your team at Skydive Egypt.
In Egypt, exactly.
To go jump the pyramids.
The pyramids.
How amazing is that?
That's another great thing that I've been able to do. I mean, I've been a consultant for Skydive Egypt, and I've been working with those guys and trying to help them figure out the best way to do things. And so I'm really blessed that I've gotten to do already, God, how many jumps? About 6 jumps already over the pyramids, and now we're going to go again in June. So for all of you that are listening, if you want to come and join and jump over the pyramids, June 11th through the 16th, Skydive Egypt, come join us. The most incredible time of your life.
So amazing.
It's one thing to see the pyramids and to visit them, but to jump over them,
it's got to be.
It's a different feeling.
It's got to be.
The energy is beyond unbelievable. Not to mention you get to jump from a C-130.
Which doesn't suck.
No, not at all.
I've only been able to do that once, and it was ridiculous. So I was lucky enough on a ferry flight to be able to fly over Egypt and fly over Cairo and to see the pyramids there, and then ended up being able to go for one night to see the pyramids up close and personal. So I can't even imagine being able to jump over it, because it was as jaw-dropping as you'd expect it to be.
Jump over it, swoop them. and land right next to them and pack surrounded by these pyramids and by their beautiful energy.
Oh, it's got to be.
It's got to be. Incredible event.
So that's a bucket list item for sure.
Absolutely.
So what comes next? What's the next phase of Omar's skydiving in career?
I'm really not sure, but I'll tell you what just happened last week. I got to jump in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
I'm Saudi, and for me, that possibility to finally jump at home, something that I had been wanting to do for so many years, finally showed itself, and I was invited by the aviation club over there, the Saudi Aviation Club, and it was amazing. There was a group of about 20 local skydivers. And here's the beauty about the Saudi skydivers. Normally you have an air show, right? So you bring the creme de la creme, you bring the best jumpers, and you have them jump. Basically, since there's no skydiving in Saudi Arabia, there's an air show, skydivers can jump. Boogie! Bring everybody over and let's all go jump. And that's what it was. I mean,
awesome.
We only got to do hop and pops. I think the highest altitude we got was 6,000 feet. But at the end of the day, we all got to jump. Every one of those Saudi jumpers got to jump. I was even able to do a 3-way with 2 other Saudi guys, and jumping from 5.5, we ended up throwing out a flower, then start carving around. And we got to do a free flight jump on a hop and pop over Riyadh. God, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, in your home country and in a place that was never accessible for a sport like that.
Never. And so what would be the next step? My dream would be to be able to go to Saudi Arabia and open up a drop zone over there.
How cool would that be?
That would be a dream come true.
It's, I've had a few friends that have been able to have milestone moments in their lives. A mutual friend of ours, a guy by the name of Maha, was able to jump into Carnival in Brazil. And I mean, it brought tears to his eyes to be able to do stuff like this, So being able to jump in, and it's very difficult as an American because I take it for granted. We've had everything on a silver platter for as long as I can remember. You want to go jump out of an airplane, throw a rock, you're going to find a drop zone.
Absolutely.
I didn't know before I was a skydiver that there were 2 highly prominent drop zones within a 30-minute drive from where I was raised.
Exactly.
And I didn't know that until after I moved away and became a skydiver and went, holy shit, that's like in my backyard. So it doesn't compute that wouldn't be accessible. For a lot of my British friends, that they can't jump because it's shit weather all the time. So I'm spoiled in, being an American jumper and coming up in that. So being able to, again, go and jump in your home country, how incredible.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the closest was helping set up Skydive Dubai and being able to jump over there. That was amazing for me.
Yeah.
And so now to be able to take it to the next step and actually jumping in my home city of Riyadh, and to be able to think about setting up a drop zone over there, dream come true.
That's so cool. Cool. Well, and the other huge thing that highlights is the complete uselessness of the saying that this country's good, this country's we're friends. In skydiving, everybody's from. I don't give a fuck where you're from. I don't care
play in the air.
Who you are, what sex you are, what color you are, what sexual orientation. None of that matters. We're just skydivers. Let's just go jump out of planes.
That's it.
Let's
go have fun together.
Yeah, which is amazing.
I call it the biggest sandbox in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're little kids at the end of the day, just playing in the sandbox.
Yeah, no, it's and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I work hard, but I work hard at something that I love. Basically I get paid to play, but it's hard play.
That's it. When you find your passion and you follow your passion, you don't work a day in your life.
No, absolutely not. Now, I always ask people as we wrap things up a couple of different questions. One is, you've got a new jumper just getting into the sport. What advice do you give to them for longevity and staying safe and enjoying? And if you've got a jumper that's not as jazzed by skydiving as they used to be, they're trying to decide. They're on the fence. Should I just hang it up and sell the gear? What's your advice to either of those groups?
Well, let's take the second one first. For the person who feels that they've had it with the sport and, they're bored with it, grow or die. It's that simple. I took up jiu-jitsu when I was 51 years old. I became a vegan now at 53. So, you have to adapt. You have to change. If you think that by doing the same things all the time, you're going to evolve, you're not. So change it up a little bit. Trust me, there's a lot of disciplines in the sport. And unless this guy who wants to hang it up already has 10, 15, 20,000 jumps, if we're talking about a guy who's got 500 or 1,000 jumps, there's a lot more for you to learn, and
Sure.
you just haven't scraped the surface.
Sure.
So go and try other things, try new things. I don't care if it's swooping, I don't care if it's free flying, I don't care whatever it is, wingsuit flying, you name it. There's 1,001 things that you can learn and become better at. And the one thing that I've learned throughout my jumps, throughout my career, is that the more I jump, the more I realize how little I know.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much to learn.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much information there. As for the first-time jumper who wants to know how to have longevity in the sport, be smart. Be smart and don't be in a hurry. You know, a lot of times people are in a hurry. They want a smaller container. So how can I get a smaller container that fits better, that flies better? By getting a smaller canopy. How do I get a smaller canopy? Oh, well, it's okay. I'm not going to do that many jumps. I'm good enough now. Well, maybe you are, maybe you're not. And if you're not, you're probably going to make a big mistake. And it's going to, you know, if you're lucky, it's going to be a cheap lesson with just a tip fib.
Yep.
If it's not, it might be your life.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, take your time. There's no hurry.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, I tell this to my daughter, I tell this to everyone, have fun. Because if it's not fun, why the hell are you doing it?
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's funny. I'll mention something that happened. I was at a boogie. I was working at a boogie in Corsica. And part of the boogie was divided into two. It was half of the time was half of the group, I should say, was an actual regular boogie style jumping, and the other one they were doing like a course on you know, a certain type of free flying, kind of VRW, more technical side. And I'd look at the people in the boogie side, and they'd all be smiling and having an amazing time.
Right.
And then I looked at the guys in the class who were, you know, the same group doing 5-6 jumps a day. And they were, you know, they were dirt diving the jumps, and then they were doing the jumps. And they were all stressed out.
Sure.
They were all panicking. They were all worried that they would fuck up. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
Why are you guys doing it? The whole point is that it's free flying.
Right.
It's to be free. It's to have fun. Yeah, education is good and it's very important. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't supersede your fun. You shouldn't just be panicking and stressing because you're scared that you're going to mess up in your jump.
Right.
You know, I understand that being the mentality if you're going to do a free fly world record and you're amongst 100 and God knows how many other jumpers trying to do something, then yeah, I can understand that stress there and it makes sense and you should be stressed.
Sure.
But if you're just an education and you want to have fun, dude, go learn in a fun, easy, relaxed manner.
Absolutely. I can't imagine having my entire skydiving career be like the week that I did my AFF course with Billy Rhodes. It was the worst week of my fucking life.
Exactly.
I can't imagine going, yeah, this is just what I do now.
Yeah, no.
That just sounds brutal. I mean, you've got to be able to take it a little easier and have some fun with it. The best thing that ever happened to me was actually stepping away from jumping for about almost 4 years. I didn't step away from the sport because I was flying, but I stepped away from jumping for about 4 years until the idea of going out to make a jump made me nervous. And then I went, oh, the butterflies are back.
Right.
And I became a born-again fun jumper because I, like a lot of people, started out in the sport and was working in the sport almost right away just to pay for it. And next thing you know, I'm chucking drugs and shooting video, and that's all I did.
And then it takes the fun away from you.
Yeah, and I didn't do any fun jumping because after 15 tandems, who wants to go, you know?
You're tired.
Very
You're
few
exhausted.
people. Yeah, very few people.
It's hard, man.
Absolutely. So,
and don't get me wrong, skills camps are good.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
Good. It's good to join a group and try to better yourself, but you can also have a
Have
different
fun with it.
perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? If you fuck up, that's why it's a skills camp. It's not a pro camp.
Yep.
It's a place for you to learn. And if you mess up, so what? You mess up, and then on the next one, maybe you learn from it and you become better.
Oh, yeah. One of the
Enjoy,
biggest...
have fun.
Of course. I mean, one of the most freeing things I ever learned in my life was there's always somebody better than me.
For sure.
It's an amazing lesson to learn because it really takes the pressure off. I mean, I watch these guys that are the best of the best, and I see the stress they put themselves under because they've got to maintain that. I don't have to maintain shit. I need to go out and have fun.
And that's why I say, dude, I suck.
Yeah.
Everyone else is great, and I really don't care. My whole goal in flying is to have fun.
Have fun.
And to have fun with the person. And a lot of people ask me, you know, what's your favorite part of jumping? And you know what it is? It's very simple. It's seeing that expression in your face,
Absolutely.
that look in your eyes when we're in the air together.
Yep.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
That was one of the ways that I was able to enjoy doing tandems and shooting videos for so long was sitting with a miserable camera helmet on my head, looking at someone having the most, amazing time of their lives right in front of me 15 times a day, 20 times a day. I'm watching someone have the time of their life, and it's infectious.
Completely.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And especially, you'll go out and do a fun jump with friends, and everybody's just grinning ear to ear. It doesn't matter what's happening in the skydive. There's no goal other than to have fun, and it's fantastic.
How
to
beautiful
see.
is that?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better. Now, as we wrap up, people want to find out about how to go jump over the pyramids. Is there a website they can go to? How do they find out? How do they contact?
We got to wrap this up. I'm having so much fun. Yeah, absolutely. You can go on the website and their webpage. It's Jump Like a Pharaoh on Facebook.
Awesome.
And you can go on there and just sign up.
Awesome. Now, do you
Absolutely.
have a public page people can reach out if they want to find out more about that? If they want to find out about Saudi or anything like that?
Yeah, well, there's my Omar Alhegelan athlete page on Facebook.
Cool.
And usually I post just about everything that I'm doing on there. So
Awesome.
Feel free to go on there, hit the like button, and join me.
Awesome.
And let's have some fun together. And who knows, we can, if you feel like jumping in Antarctica, if you want to jump in the North Pole, if you want to jump over next to Everest, if you want to jump over the pyramids, let's go do it. They're all there. They're all accessible. They're all available.
What a fucking list. What a list. Yes, guys, you should all join Omar and all that stuff. I certainly will try, if nothing else, just to say that I've been there and seen it and done it. Omar, thank you so much for taking the time. I guarantee people are going to love hearing this. We'll try and get you back in and find out how things continue.
Dean, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so
very
much,
sir.
Take care.
Bye.
There it is. Another great episode of Lunatic Fringe, Into the Void, in the can. I am the fucking pilot. As always, it is brought to you by the one and only Blue Skies Magazine, the greatest magazine in the known universe. Head to blueskiesmag.com to check out previously published issues, to subscribe, to submit those photos, to submit those article ideas. A lot of changes coming with Blue Skies Magazine that you are going to love, so time to really, really dig in deep and check them out. As for me, I am the fucking pilot. You find me at thefuckingpilot.net. That's where you're going to get links to this podcast, as well as both the books that I've written, the Accidental Stripper and the Fucking Pilot book, both available in digital and print form. Again, thank you so much for joining us for Lunatic Fringe, Into the Void. We'll see you next time.